we'll just allow 2 seconds. So let's formally begin here. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those of you who are in other time zones. Welcome to the Living in Oneness Summit. I'm Steve Farrell with Humanities Team and one of the hosts of the Living in Oneness Summit. Today is day 9 of the summit. It's been an extraordinary program so far, and we've been especially excited about today's program. It's going to be packed with so much wisdom, and we're also going to have so much fun. Over 16,000 people have registered for the summit, and registration is still climbing, so we have a large listening audience today. We are broadcasting live each day with at least 2 programs and talking about how we can come fully alive as part of the divine. That's the focus of this summit. I'd like to thank each of you, the listeners who are listening live and who are listening via audio links. As a reminder, there is a $100 discount during the summit for those who purchase these upgrade packages, and of course the upgrade packages allow you to come back to this wisdom again and again for yourself and to share pearls of wisdom with friends and family as well. They include the MP3 links, transcripts, and CDs that are available not only for the 30-plus leaders for this year's program, but also the leaders that were part of last year's program, including Panache Desai, Ken Wilber, Urban Laszlo, and Joan Borisenko. If you are on Instant Teleseminar, I invite you to put your name, city, and country in the question window. Please also share your inspirations that you have regarding the Living in Oneness so far, if you've been participating, and any questions you have for Patricia Cota-Robles. We'll get to at least a few during the hour. Now, please get comfortable. We're going to get started. We do have this very special guest for this hour. This is the first time she has been on a program with us, and it's so wonderful to have her here with us today. I'd now like to introduce her. Patricia Cota-Robles is co-founder and president of the nonprofit educational organization New Age Study of Humanity's Purpose, which sponsors annual World Conference on Illumination. Patricia was a marriage and family counselor for 20 years. She now spends her time freely sharing the information she is receiving from the beings of light in the realms of illumined truth. This is accomplished through her website, webinars, YouTube videos, Facebook sharings, books, CDs, DVDs, MP3s, her free monthly email articles, and the free seminars she offers throughout the USA. The divine intent of these celestial sharings is to give humanity greater clarity and understanding as we progress through these wondrous but often challenging times on Earth. Patricia's philosophy is, every person is precious and divine, regardless of how far his or her behavior patterns and life experiences may be from reflecting that truth. We are not the victims of our lives. We are the co-creators of our lives. Now is the time to create the lives we have always dreamed about. And Patricia, let me say within Humanities Team, gosh, we could not agree more with your philosophy and mission. And welcome to the Living in Oneness Summit. It's so great to have you here with us, Patricia.
Well, thank you, Steve. I'm delighted to be here.
All right, and as I mentioned, questions are already pouring in from people. Thank you. Put your name, city, country in the question window and questions you have for Patricia Cota-Robles. Patricia, as we get started, I thought maybe a place we could begin, if it feels right, is just back in the beginning of your professional career with the decision you made to leave a successful counseling practice for marriage and families and to co-found and become president of this New Age Study of Humanity's Purpose, and to give freely of your time in the way that you do. You know, a lot of times just creating that personal connection and kind of understanding how we made some of these important decisions in our life is valuable for listeners. Could we start there and just share a little bit about what that decision was like for you?
Sure, absolutely. My quest in this lifetime, of course, was, like everybody else's, to find answers to who I am and why am I here. And the main focus of from the time I was a small child, is why in the world is there so much pain and suffering on the planet? And it took me through the gamut of world religions, through psychology, through different understandings, trying to find out how the universe and the world works with the feeling of laws of physics and all of the scientific things that I could get my hands on. And wherever I went, I never got a satisfactory answer from that. You know, I'd go to the religious leaders saying, why is there so much pain and suffering? And, of course, the answer was always, it's because Eve ate that darned apple. And you'd go to the scientific community, and it was matter evolves out of chaos by happenstance. We've evolved from an amoeba in a mud puddle, and what is just is. And none of those things fulfilled my understanding. So I kept doing what I knew in my heart, and I kept hearing in my meditations, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven within, and all else will be revealed to you. So I just kept meditating, going within, and through a process that was guided, I'm sure, by my own God self and the company of heaven, I opened up in a way that seemed like what people must be talking about when they talk about going through the near-death experience of consistently people are talking about they leave the physical body and they pass through a dark tunnel, which is just the psychic astral realm of all the confusing, misqualified energy around the earth. They pass through this veil of illusion into the light. And once they get into the light, they begin to know that they know that they know, and they realize that they have this wealth of knowledge within them that they just haven't been able to access because they've been so buried in the heavy discordant energies of separation and duality in this physical plane. But once they're in that realm, they connect with their divinity, their I am presence, that part of them that is created in God's image. And they also have access to all of our sisters and brothers in the heavenly realms who are our teachers and our guides. These are the ascended masters, cosmic beings, solar logos, the entire angelic realms, and legions of light, literally from suns beyond suns and galaxies beyond galaxies. And in that dimension, we also realize that we are living, moving, breathing, existing in this all-encompassing presence of our Father, Mother, God, this omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, cosmic I am, all that is, that science is beginning to refer to as the divine matrix. I'm sure this is what Einstein was trying to talk about the unified field theory. And this is the oneness that we begin to remember, that every particle and wave, every atomic and subatomic particle of energy throughout the whole of creation lives, moves, breathes, and exists in this all-encompassing presence of God. And every single particle of life affects every other particle of life, which means that every single thought, word, action, feeling, memory, or belief we express affects every other particle of life throughout all creation. So with every moment, depending on what we are expressing, we are either adding to the light of the world or adding to the shadows. And this energy, these thoughts and feelings that we're sending forth with our creative faculties are what is manifesting in our life as our everyday life experiences. And when I became aware of the ability to connect with these legions of light who are our teachers that we were always supposed to have access to, that we only lost connection with after we fell into the denseness of our human miscreations, after what was referred to as the fall. When I became aware of the things that I was being taught from these heavenly realms, I felt compelled to make this information readily available for as many people as possible. And I loved my counseling. I loved connecting with people at that level. But doing one-on-one, you can reach 8 to 10 people a day. And doing what I'm doing now, I have the ability to reach through the Internet and through the connections and expansion of light, literally millions of people simultaneously. And so that, I think, is what things like this wonderful summit are for. This is the wonder and beauty of the Internet. And so I just made that conscious decision to make this information as readily available as possible to as many people as I could possibly reach. Giving them, of course, I don't ever want anybody to accept anything as truth just because somebody said it's true. I'd like to just present it as food for thought, have people take it into their hearts, see how it resonates. What I keep sharing with people is, if I am sharing something for you that's important for your divine plan, but you can't relate to it or identify with it at this moment, your I am presence, your God self, is going to keep presenting this information to you in loving, gentle ways over and over and over again until it can finally resonate. So anything that I'm sharing, take it as food for thought, sift and sort through it. If it resonates for you, utilize it in whatever way your God self directs you to. Otherwise, just let it go.
Yeah, so beautiful. Wow. Again, your message is so aligned with other beautiful spiritual material that's come out over, in recent decades, including Neil Donald Walsh's Conversations with God material and other sacred texts that always shares this same message, Patricia, that our job is just to share what is true from our heart, what has been brought to us, in this case, by the heavenly realm. And then, what's most important is that each of us goes within, connects with our divine self, and then does with that information what it may. Let me bring in comments because, again, we've got comments and questions pouring in. We'll get to as many as we can here during the hour. This is from Monica in Frankfurt, Germany. She says, hi, Patricia, this is so very exciting for me to hear you live. Ever since I have heard your first message some 10 months ago, I felt this connection. So I am sending greetings to you and the organizers of this amazing event from right across the other side of your continent. So thank you, Monica, for sharing that message.
Thank you, Monica.
Germany. Also, Beth from Slovenia says, looking forward to the programs this morning or late this afternoon, in her case, in Slovenia. We'll get to other comments here as well that you're sharing. Thank you. Patricia, we can step through this material in whatever way is comfortable for you. I've got, of course, I receive your material. One of the things that often you share kind of in the sequence of as you're stepping through your messages is the unprecedented cosmic moment that is here now. Do you want to? Would that be a good place to start?
Sure.
We can step through this in the way that you feel most comfortable.
It certainly is perfect, and it's so important for us to understand that because the reality is that there is no one in the physical plane at this moment, according to the legions of light in the realms of truth, that is here by accident. Every single person in embodiment at this time has been prepared for literally hundreds of lifetimes to be able to fulfill the divine plan that is now unfolding on Earth. We are in the midst of a unique experiment, and never has a planet that fell to the depths of separation and duality that the Earth experienced been given an opportunity to move forward this quickly in the light. And every single person here is part of this plan, even the people that are acting out adversely at this time, because there is no separation. And the negativity that we're experiencing on the planet is a result of our behavior patterns, our thoughts, words, actions, feelings, the things that we have created since the initial impulse of our fall from grace. And since these are our human miscreations, literally there is not one electron of energy that comes forth from the heart of God that's less than the infinite love and perfection of God. There's no such thing as God's wrath. There's no such thing as God's punishment. Everything that we are experiencing are a result of the fact that somewhere along our line we've used our creative faculties of thought and feeling and our free will to create these gross mutations that are now manifesting, even as aging and death as we know it, as well as disease and poverty and war and corruption, greed. All of these are human miscreations. Now, these things that are manifesting in the physical plane, in order to manifest, are being comprised of electronic light substance. Everything existing on Earth is electronic light substance. So this was originally, every electron of energy was originally pure God light that we used as our life force and that we misqualified into these gross mutations. So we are responsible for transmuting those negative things back into light. So there are people in the physical plane who have volunteered through their life experiences to bring these things to the surface. So what's happening now is that the light is greatly increasing on the planet. We'll talk about why in a moment. And as this light flows through every heart flame, the beings of light, just to affirm this for us, because sometimes we get a distorted perception when we watch the media or look at the outer world. They have said that the people acting out adversely, creating the chaos in the outer world, are a minuscule fraction of the 7.5 billion souls living on this planet. And that actually every single day there are billions of souls, with a B, billions of souls, that in one way or another turn their attention to a higher power and invoke the light of God on this planet. These invocations are always heard and they are always answered. This has allowed a cosmic dispensation so that the legions of light that I refer to as the company of heaven have been granted permission by the all-encompassing presence of our Father, Mother, God to come through the veil to meet us halfway. So the light daily and hourly is greatly increasing on the earth. And as the light flows through the divinity and every person's heart flame that's invoking that light, it enters the physical plane and pushes to the surface everything that conflicts with that light. So what we are seeing in the outer world and through these people that are acting out so adversely is they're pushing forth the antithesis of the light of God, the human miscreations and all of the pain and suffering that humanity created. It's coming up not to take us down the tubes and to create more havoc, but so that we can invoke the light of God to transmute it back into light, because this originally was pure primal light substance that we have taken, intelligent life, that we have taken and distorted into these gross mutations that are now causing the pain and suffering on earth. So as we blaze the light through this surfacing negativity, it is transmuted back into light and raised up to its original perfection. The beings of light want us to understand that we are multidimensional beings of light functioning on many levels simultaneously. The physical plane is the very last dimension to reflect these incredible changes that are taking place. And they said that what we are witnessing in the physical plane at this time is the least real of all of the dimensions that we abide in. These are the illusions of separation and duality that are reflecting from our miscreations. And the entities, the beings that create these outer world things, of course there's the sons and daughters of God, human beings that are acting out adversely, that have created this chaos. And all of us throughout myriad lifetimes have either deliberately or inadvertently misqualified our gift of life, even if it's through fear or through anger or through revenge or through all different kinds of jealousies and the energies. Every bit of that creates these distorted patterns that manifest. The way these patterns manifest, and this is really an important thing for us to begin understanding, that we really totally forgot when we fell into such separation and duality, is that there are three life waves evolving on this planet. There's the human kingdom, you and me and the rest of humanity, sons and daughters of God, and we're in the physical plane to learn how to use our creative faculties of thought and feeling and our gift of free will. And the original plan was that we would use that to expand the borders of the kingdom of heaven on earth. The original plan was that we would observe all of the patterns of perfection from the causal body of God, and then through guidance and assistance from the legions of light, who are like college professors compared to us being kindergarten students, we would, through our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings, combine those energies in new ways of thinking and feeling, creating new patterns of perfection. And as we sent forth this electronic light through our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings, the second wave of life on this planet, which is the elemental kingdom, which is the divine intelligence associated with the earth, the air, the water, the fire, and the ether elements. This divine intelligence, these beings of light associated with the elemental kingdom, take our unformed primal light, qualified with whatever we are charging it with, and they draw the earth, air, fire, water elements around those thought forms to manifest them physically. So the elemental kingdom is the divine intelligence that's manifesting everything that's happening in the physical plane, including the inclement weather conditions. Now, the third life wave, of course, is the angelic kingdom, which we are all pretty much aware of, that serve us in myriad ways from the higher realms as well. But during this moment, when we are transforming the earth into a higher frequency of perfection, we have to heal this schism with the elemental kingdom. And this schism was created because the elemental kingdom volunteered to join and escort the sons and daughters of God into the physical plane. And in this case, we're talking about Earth. And, of course, there's life throughout the solar system and universe. But we're talking about the Earth. So these intelligent beings volunteered to escort the sons and daughters of God into the physical plane. Each of us were given a body elemental, a divine intelligence that guides the intelligence within the earth, the air, the water, the fire, the ether elements in our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. This being, working in unison with the other elemental kingdom, assists us in creating our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings tangibly in a physical way in the world of form. And the original plan was these beings thought they were going to be out picturing greater frequencies of the heaven on earth. But when we fell and when we began misqualifying our energy into these gross mutations, these beings who had selflessly volunteered to outpicture our thought forms were forced to begin outpicturing inclement weather conditions and plagues and famines and pestilence and aging and disease, and even death as we know it now is a human miscreation. When we completed originally this physical plane of Earth, we would just etherealize our physical bodies and move into the heavenly realms. We wouldn't have to leave our bodies because they became so corrupt and so diseased and so decrepit that we couldn't live in them anymore, which is what death is now for us in most instances, unless it's an accident or something. So what is happening now is that there is this healing. And as the negativity is pushed to the surface, the elemental kingdom is reflecting humanity's consciousness. So everything's being accelerated. This is an incredibly powerful year. And these bizarre, inclement weather conditions we have are this negativity being pushed to the surface. And also the things we're experiencing all over the world. You know, there's this healing that's going on as we remember the divine feminine and it comes to the fore. So we're witnessing horrific things like what's happening to the children in Africa, the girls in Africa, and the abuse of women and the abuse of the feminine all over the planet, because that is the antithesis of the new earth we're moving into, of heaven on earth. And so it's coming up to be healed in a shocking way to grab our attention, because we've gotten into a place where when we fell into such discord, disconnecting from our I am presence, forgetting about the heavenly realms, we developed this fragmented fear-based consciousness known as our human ego. And this part of us uses pain as its motivator. As long as we're comfortable, we'll stagnate forever. But when we see something horrific and shocking, like the kidnapping of girls and the torturing of children because they're wanting an education, it draws the collective consciousness of the masses, and we create this cup of consciousness that allows the light of God through our invocations to flow into the planet to transmute this. So this is why such horrific things are being pushed to the surface. It's so important that we get this, because otherwise it looks like the earth is going to hell in a handbasket, and people start empowering the negativity through their fear and by talking about it and energizing it. This is a critical time that we really remember that our thoughts and feelings are creative at any given moment. Every single day, we are either adding to the light of the world or the shadows. And whatever we're focusing on, we're empowering. So it's fine to be aware. It's fine to realize and know that these things are happening to the children in Africa. But we don't just wring our hands and think of the horror of it. We say, what do we want instead of that? We invoke the light of God. We ask that everybody on the planet, God's self, take command, that each person be lifted up into Christ consciousness, a higher level of divine consciousness, where we remember the oneness of all life, where we understand that we can't harm a single particle of life on this planet without it reflecting back and harming us. We are not going to legalize. We are not going to legislate these changes in the outer world. As Einstein said, and many of the avatars said before that, we cannot shift consciousness from the same level of consciousness that it was created. For instance, all we have to do is observe what takes place when anyone wants to have any kind of reasonable consciousness about gun control. There is such a backlash of that, such fear vibration, such overwhelming negativity that nothing gets done. But from a higher level of shift of consciousness, from our I am presence, when we begin connecting with the reality of the oneness of all life, guns become a moot point, because nobody is interested in killing each other. Nobody is interested in harming any other part of life. So the need for guns, or the concept that we would need guns, becomes irrelevant in that shift of consciousness. So this is what's happening through these wonderful programs and this expression of oneness, this shift of consciousness that's taking place on the planet. And we're moving forward with that in this moment in unprecedented shifts and waves of energy.
Beautiful, and we're about to move into that part where, as Patricia unfolds her message, often she does go into what we're now returning into, and she's touched on it, but we'll go deeper into that. Before we do, a few comments or some questions from listeners relating to the challenges that we're encountering now. I'll just share two of them here quickly. One, Deb in Detroit, Michigan says, I feel I'm separating from all friends and long-term relationships with no new ones to replace them. This is a very lonely existence. How long must I wait for others to find me or catch up to my authenticity? And then another question, this is Debbie in Monroe, says, how much longer will we have to endure tornadoes, wildfires, earthquakes, etc.? So listeners just bringing in the aspect of it's just a very challenging time, and what some of this has to do with friendship, and some of it has to do with these environmental challenges that we're seeing.
Absolutely, and what I want everybody to hear is this is the training we have been through for hundreds of lifetimes, to be able to hold the sacred space, envisioning and invoking the light in the face of all adversity while this negativity comes up to be transmuted, because there's no other way of doing this. We can't just say cancel, cancel, and eliminate eons of the abuse of negativity that we've experienced, the horrific things we have inflicted on humanity and the earth. It has to come up to clear. But what the beings of light want us to understand is that we are never alone. And all we have to say is, I am my I am presence. And the reason they want us to refer to our I am presence is because this all-encompassing presence of God is known as the cosmic I am. This was the response that Moses received when the burning bush was asked, who are you? The answer was, I am that I am. I am Alpha, I am Omega, I am the beginning, I am the ending. I comes from Alpha, meaning the masculine polarity of our Father God, the beginning. Am comes from Omega, meaning the feminine polarity of God. the ending, meaning Alpha and Omega. The I am is the beginning and ending of all that exists. And when we say our I am presence, this is as we were breathed forth from the heart of God, we were breathed forth as this magnificent individualized sun, this I am presence. And all that our Father, Mother, God have is contained within our I am presence. So when we connect with our I am presence by saying, I am my I am presence, we directly and instantaneously connect with the source of all that is. And from that point, the oneness is that we have the ability to say, I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of all humanity. What I invoke for myself, I invoke for all life, evolving on this planet in perfect alignment with his or her divine plan and the highest good for all concerned. That simple statement connects us from the microcosm of our individual expression to the macrocosm of every man, woman, and child on earth. Then from that point we can invoke all the light of God. And when we begin doing that, you have such a magnetic force of divine love around you that you will begin magnetizing people into your life that resonate, not because of your personality or who you are as a person, but that resonate with the divine mission of bringing the oneness of all life. Now, when we ask how long are we going to have to endure the surfacing negativity, the beings of light want us to understand that if we remember, the original prophecies were that there would be the new heaven and the new earth, and the old earth would pass away, and that there would be billions of souls that would be left behind that would not be able to make this shift. And that would be accomplished through cataclysmic earth changes, where maybe 10% of the population, or even 144,000, would be able to make the shift onto the new earth. But the reality is that that type of prophecy, a divinely inspired prophecy that reveals a potentially negative outcome, which it certainly would be if billions of people would not be able to make the shift and would be left behind. The only reason those kinds of prophecies are ever given is to show us what would occur at our present course of direction and to inspire us to change our course of direction. And that is exactly what's happened. And through the past several decades, there have been monumental shifts in consciousness. And we reached a critical mass of divine love that allowed the two earths to become one, so that we could all make that ascension up the spiral of evolution. Now, this moment in time, we had the greatest focus when we were talking about the completion of the 5,125-year Mayan calendar. This knowledge began flowing into our awareness with harmonic convergence, which took place in August of 1987. We were told that this would be a 25-year process of purging and cleansing, and then we would move through a quantum shift that was called the shift of the ages. Now, most people were focused on the Mayan calendar and the completion of that cycle, but the beings of light want us to know that the shift of the ages is far greater than that. This was a moment in time that it occurs every so many millions of years, when all of the cycles throughout all creation, cycles within cycles within cycles, dovetail into the rhythmic momentum of the heartbeat of the cosmic I Am, our Father, Mother, God, all that is. And during that cosmic moment, all life is breathed up the spiral of evolution into the next octave of our learning experience. This moment took place on December 21st, 2012. The two Earths became one, and during that cosmic moment on that day, the Earth and our solar system aligned with the galactic core of the Milky Way, and the whole of creation was breathed up the spiral of evolution. Now, we were actually breathed into the fifth dimension because in the third dimension we were just left behind because of the fall and the negativity. Through this 25-year process, we've been raising in vibration. So all humanity, every particle of life, made the completion on December 21st, 2012. This allowed the very next day, on December 22nd, 2012, for us to birth the new earth in the realms of cause, in the fifth dimensional frequencies of God's infinite perfection. So what is happening now is we are kind of walking with our feet in both worlds. The new heaven and the new earth are interpenetrating into the mental and emotional strata. We're drawing those patterns in. They're coming through every open door. We're projecting those positive thought forms in the physical plane. But the negativity from the old earth, the residue, is being pushed to the surface. And even though we're experiencing tremendous negative outer world weather conditions, this is nothing. It is a gift of divine grace beyond our comprehension. It is nothing compared to what was destined to happen if we hadn't healed this separation with the elemental kingdom and worked with the consciousness of the new earth. The elemental kingdom has created a new covenant with humanity. That is, it still has to purge and cleanse the negativity, but it is being done with the least loss of human life. And if we see the horrific, there'll be property damage because we've done horrific things on this planet to each other and to the earth. We have a tremendous amount of negativity to purge and cleanse. But the more we do that, the more we invoke the light of God to transmute this negativity, the faster it will happen. What would normally have happened with the old earth being left behind is that any souls that could not make this shift, now this has nothing to do with punishment, but it's that if it hadn't occurred, if we hadn't reached that critical mass of divine love through the unified consciousness of humanity, the souls that would have been left behind, nothing is ever lost, but it meant that they were vibrating at such a discordant frequency that they would not have survived this shift. They would have been like trying to move through a lightning bolt. What happens to those souls, which is a normal process in this evolutionary shift, is that they are returned to the heart of the central sun of their solar system, and their individualized presence is etherealized into unformed primal light, transmuted, and that light substance, nothing is ever totally lost, but their light substance would be utilized for future systems of worlds, but they would lose their individuality as that son or daughter of God. And this is what is referred to in the Bible as the second death, and it is the most tragic thing that can ever happen to an evolving soul. So this experiment that we are going through was to see if humanity could awaken effectively enough to create a critical mass that would allow even the most recalcitrant fallen souls to move into the light. And that's exactly what happened. The two earths became one. We have moved into the fifth dimensional frequency. We still have the old energy from the old earth to transmute. But when that's complete, we will be completely on the new heaven and the new earth. And this is what's happening now. So we don't know how long it's going to take. But let me tell you, the most powerful frequency to transmute this negativity is known as the violet transmuting flame of God's infinite perfection. This is a predominant energy. It's known as the seventh solar aspect of deity. It's the predominant energy that will bathe the planet for the next 2,000 years as we move through the age of Aquarius. What the violet flame is, it's the perfect balance of the masculine polarity of our Father God, which is a sapphire blue frequency of divine will, power, and God's first cause of perfection, and the crystalline pink essence of the divine feminine, the Mother God, which we've known of as the Holy Spirit, which is the pink essence of divine love, reverence for all life, and the oneness of life. These two energies blended together in perfect harmony create this violet flame, and it is a gift from our Father, Mother God at this time that is the most powerful energy we can use to transmute the negativity that's surfacing. And this month, this energy is pouring in, this month of May that we're experiencing now, this energy is pouring in more intense frequencies than we've ever been able to experience. And the reason for that is because of the incredibly powerful shifts we've just experienced with the vernal equinox that we just experienced, the March equinox. Then there was the eclipse on the full moon that was known as the Passover full moon just before Easter. This Easter was a very powerful influx of the resurrection flame, which lifts everything back up. And that's because both the Eastern and Western Christian religions celebrated on the same day. Usually they're a week apart. This time they celebrated on the same day. So there were billions of souls on the planet turning their attention to the resurrection of the Christ, which is the divinity within every human being, not just Jesus. Then we experienced a very powerful Grand Cross alignment, a very rare Grand Cross alignment from the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and then another powerful solar eclipse on the 28th of April. All of these unprecedented energies cleared the way for this powerful influx of the violet flame. And all we have to say, there's an invocation that I'll be glad to share with you, but all we have to say to make it simple is, I am my I am presence. I am one with the I am presence of all humanity. And I am invoking the violet flame in perfect alignment with every person's divine plan and the highest good for all concerned. And I ask my I am presence to transmute every electron of energy that's manifesting as inclement weather conditions, as war, as pain or suffering. And we don't have to name those things because we don't want to empower them. But what we say is every electron of energy that's less than heaven on earth. What happens then is the violet flame flows through your heart flame, and then because you've invoked the I am presence of every person, the I am presence of every person projects that violet flame through everybody's heart flame on the planet in alignment with their divine plan and their highest good. And this enters this energy and it raises it up, transmuting it back into light. The more we do this, the more intensified these calls are, the faster we're going to eliminate the discordant weather conditions, the pain and suffering on the planet, and in our own personal lives.
Such a note of hope and faith. And let me just mention, Patricia, by the way, comments and questions are pouring in. So thank you to all the listeners. We have a huge audience here today with us. And you can see why. So much wisdom that Patricia is sharing. We do have a hard stop at the half hour because all of these sessions are being taped and transcribed right at the half hour. It's a hard stop. We want to make sure we don't get cut off. So in about 11 minutes, we'll go into the wrap-up phase. So we've got 11 more minutes with Patricia before we go into wrap-up. Patricia, a couple of things here. One, just to ask you, I'm guessing a lot of the listeners are, saying, geez, how much faith and courage and strength do I need, to really to keep co-creating in this positive way and not in a way that falls into darkness and shadow. So addressing that maybe on a personal level, because I know you're a comfort to so many. You're a leader in this, and you're bringing incredible faith, courage, and strength to yourself as we go through this phase. The other, I know you shared this, but just to maybe underscore it because it's so important, is that the message you're sharing in your material that we have victoriously accomplished this facet of our divine plan. It is now on a certain track. Maybe talking about that because, and you did mention that, but just for those that are new to your material, that we are now going to a very certain destination. Maybe with our final 10 minutes we could talk about those things, if that makes sense.
Sure, I'll be glad to. Most importantly, what the beings of light want us to understand, and this was the greatest message that was coming through during all of my counseling, is that people were awakening and they'd know they have some important facet of the divine plan, but they'd say, first I have to handle this financial challenge and then I'll start focusing on my divine plan. And because of the fear of failure or fear that they weren't going to be able to hold on or have the faith to really pull this off, they would perpetuate the financial problem, not realizing that the financial problem was their divine plan, whatever's coming up in the moment. So the beings of light are reiterating profoundly, this cosmic moment is a unique experiment that has never been attempted in any system of worlds. Never has a planet that's fallen this far into negativity been given the opportunity to move forward in the light. So moving toward the shift of the ages, the earth and all her life were hanging in the balance. So in this lifetime, for every single person on this planet, no one was allowed to come into the physical plane volunteering to accomplish a particular facet of the divine plan that he or she had not already God victoriously accomplished in some other time frame or dimension. In other lifetimes, we'd look at our karmic liabilities and the negativity, and we'd choose to come into the greatest challenges hoping we could clean up the mess we had created. And sometimes we'd bite off more than we could chew. We'd choose dire enemies to be our parents and that kind of thing. And our God self, our I Am presence, would say, great, give it your best shot. If you succeed, fine. If you don't, you'll have another time frame or dimension to do this. But this time it was different. This time, no one was allowed to come into the physical plane that didn't have every skill, every ability of faith, every bit of courage to God victoriously accomplish whatever it is they have volunteered to do. So they want us to understand that. They also want us to understand that the greatest privilege and honor of any soul in any level of evolution at this moment is physical embodiment on planet Earth. And they have said that for every person in embodiment on this planet, there were millions of souls that volunteered to be born during this unique experiment, but that were turned away, not because they were less than or anything like that, but because it was perceived that the potential of our individual accumulation of experiences and training had a greater chance of succeeding with the collective of the rest of humanity than those that were turned away. The reason this is such an honor is because when we God victoriously complete this ascension, which we are absolutely going to do, it's already been God victoriously accomplished in the realms of cause. And once something is accomplished in the realms of cause, which this was on December 22nd, 2012, with the birth of the new earth, once it's done in the realms of cause, nothing can prevent it from manifesting in the outer world, which is the world of effects. The only variable is how long that's going to take, and that's up to you and me and how tenaciously we use the violet flame and how quickly we transmute the surfacing negativity from the old earth. But the reason this is such an honor is because with the God victorious accomplishment of this ascension, we take the collective experience with us into the higher realms. Never has a planet that's fallen this far into separation and duality been given the opportunity to ascend into the realms of light. So this collective experience of ours is being recorded in the inner schools of learning. What this means is that every son and daughter of God throughout the whole of creation is now going to have access to this sacred knowledge of our incredibly painful experience without ever having to delve into the physical experience themselves. And let me tell you, they are elated. And because of that, the whole of creation is focusing on this one minuscule planet. and we are succeeding beyond the greatest expectations of heaven. Until the shift took place, until we reached that critical mass, and the shift took place on December 21st when we were able to ascend up the spiral of evolution into the fifth dimension, not even the company of heaven knew if we were going to be able to pull this off or not. But we succeeded, God victoriously. Now what is happening, they want us to understand that this new heaven that we have moved into, this new earth that we have created, is what we used to perceive as the heavenly realms. This is the realm of light people went into when they went through the near-death experience, into that realm of light. When they saw their loved ones who had gone through the process of death, who were vibrantly healthy in their prime. There was no aging, no disease, no war, no hunger, no corruption. None of the maladies existing on earth exist in that fifth dimensional frequency that we thought of as the heavenly realms. The heavenly realms in this shift moved into the sixth dimension, even more rarefied realms of perfection. But in this realm we are moving into, we are bringing this perfection. And in this realm, none of the discord of our human miscreations can exist in that frequency. So it has to be transmuted for this energy to move up into the light, and all of it has to be transmuted because it has already been decreed in through the realms of cause. What a critical mass is, just so that we can understand how this has happened, is that there's different variables. The beings of light said, to make it simple so we can understand, to think of it as 51%. So when I say that we reached a critical mass of divine love, it doesn't mean that 51% of the people on the planet are vibrating with love, even though they certainly could be. It means 51% of the energy, vibration, and consciousness of the people. And since light is infinitely more powerful than the fragmented fear-based consciousness of our lower human ego, one person anchoring the light can transcend the fragmented fear-based thought forms of hundreds of thousands of people. So we reached a critical mass of divine love, and when scientists are observing an electron and it's vibrating at a particular frequency and they're perceiving it raising up in vibration, the moment it reaches a critical mass of the higher vibration, it disappears in the one frequency and reappears in the higher dimension. This is why all of the prophets of old thought this was the end of the world and the end of life, is because they saw the earth disappear from their third dimensional perspective. They did not see it reappear in the higher dimensions. So what has happened now is that we have absorbed the other 49% of the energy that maybe is still acting out adversely, creating havoc and negativity on the planet, and it has all shifted into the fifth dimension. We still have to transmute that. So what is happening now is that since everybody moved forward, there are souls that are acting out adversely that are going to leave this physical plane before they awaken to Christ consciousness in the oneness of all life. These souls are going to be taken to the inner schools on the new earth, and they are going to go through their karmic liabilities, their lessons. They're moving into the lessons of oneness, and they will not be allowed to be reborn on the new earth until they complete transmuting all of the negativity from the karmic liabilities and move into the oneness and perfection and reverence for all life that is the only perception and reality on the new earth. So this is how this is happening, and this is how we can look at the outer world and say, my God, there's still people out there doing horrific things. Remember, they are part of the plan because they are bringing to our attention the need to heal what is going on. The inclement weather conditions, as soon as we start revering and honoring the elemental kingdom, the divine intelligence within the earth, the air, the water, and the fire, and work with the violet flame to transmute the abuses we have inflicted on the elemental kingdom, the elemental kingdom won't be reflecting humanity's consciousness in such a volatile, tumultuous way as it is now. So when you ask, how long is this going to take? That's up to you and me. How long is it going to take that we're experiencing the negativity? That's up to you and me and the rest of humanity. The victory is accomplished. Now it's up to us to transmute that negativity and to manifest those patterns of perfection in the physical plane, in the new earth.
Beautiful. So beautiful, profound, inspiring, hopeful, and as we know, right, such an important message right now. Let me share a comment that is similar to many, many comments coming in, and this is from Violet in St. Louis. She says, "Thank you, Patricia. You are awesome. Great to hear you today. If anyone has the chance to go to one of Patricia's seminars or conferences, go, as they are great. I've been to them and been getting her newsletters for over 20 years. Thanks again for all that you do, Patricia." Let me mention as well that Patricia has her conference in Wyoming here in September, which is an important conference. You can learn about it by going to her website. Patricia, what website should they go to learn more about you?
Yes, the website is Era of Peace, ERAOFPEACE, eraofpeace.org. And you can sign up for the free email. There's all kinds of free webinars and archives of newsletters and past radio shows and things like that. And you can find information about our free seminars. We're going to be in Baltimore this Sunday, so if any of you are in that area, you can go to the website and find the location and the time. And then the World Congress is going to be in Wyoming at this magnificent force field within the Grand Tetons that is the Temple of Precipitation. And what precipitation is, it's the divine science of magnetizing unformed primal light and manifesting it in form. So the intent of this World Congress, the 28th Annual World Congress on Illumination, is bringing these patterns of perfection for the new earth into physical form.
And let me encourage people to go to that site, eraofpeace.org, to learn more about Patricia, her retreats, and this important program in September in Wyoming. I want to share as well that the Hathors, Peggy Black and the team, Heaven Letters, and many other organizations and people are bringing through similar messages to what Patricia's sharing. So if Patricia's messages sound unbelievable, if you read some of this other material, they're actually saying, at least in what I read, the very same thing. So this is a wonderful time indeed. Let me just at this point thank each of you, the listeners who are here. Thank you for prioritizing your time, making the Living in Oneness Summit part of your day here for the 12 days that this program's going on. There are 48-hour free replays for each of the programs. So if you've missed some of the programs, we invite you to go to the livinginone.com site. There's a 48-hour free replay on each of the programs. And then for those of you who want to come back to this wisdom, such as what Patricia just shared, and want to hear that wisdom again and again and maybe send it on to friends and family, you can also purchase these upgrade packages that have the $100 discount during the summit. You can go to the livinginone.com site to learn about those upgrades. Patricia, at this point, I want to thank you so much for being here. Again, just incredibly profound messages, so hopeful, that speak the truth and that speak to the role that is so important for all of us now, because as you share, our destiny is in our hands. On the one hand, it's a certain destiny. On the other hand, let's make it less arduous. Let's all do the work. Let's consciously co-create this earth that we've all dreamt about and that is now directly ahead. Patricia, thank you so much for being with us. I also want to thank my colleagues, Dee Meyer and Nanette Kennedy, and other members of our Global Council who have helped make this program happen. Global Humanities team is, of course, all over the world, and it's being led by our Global Council, about 40 volunteer individuals. And again, thank you to each of you, the listeners, for being with us here today. Next up in about 30 minutes is Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief and other incredible material, also an amazing speaker and author and friend of Humanities team. That program starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 11 Mountain time. Don't miss that. We'll see you all in about 30 minutes, and Patricia will certainly be staying in close touch with you. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you in 30 minutes. Bye-bye.